For it actually apparently gone live on YouTube and Facebook, but we're live on TikTok. Do you support West Ham? No. So there you go. Fantastic. DINKY-DOO, lovely to have you all with us. And a very, very, very warm welcome. Tremendous stuff. That's what it's all about. I'm amazed at that. I wondered, I thought, where are all the people? And then I suddenly realized we hadn't actually gone live at 9 o'clock. And I was talking away to you. Tremendous stuff. Welcome, welcome. If you've just joined us, it's Scottie McCLUE, hashtag FlowTie, the first lord of the internet with the internet phone in. We started at 9 o'clock sharp, but apparently we hadn't actually gone live. Tony Mac says, good evening, Scottie. Tony, lovely to hear from you. I hope you are keeping well. That's what it's all about. What do you do for a job? A whole variety of things. I inform, educate, and entertain. There we are. That's what it's all about. We're also live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitch, Scottie_McClue. We're live on TikTok for the beautiful TikTokers. That's what it's all about, I say. Scottie, views on the P&O mess. I'm shocked that a wonderful, wonderful name and a brand like Peninsula and Orient Steamship Company should be in this sort of state. So somebody has been asleep at the wheel, to use a nautical term. There we are. Greetings from Lytham St Anne's, Scottie. Lovely to have you with us, Paul. Hi, Scottie, says Angela. Angela, how lovely to have you with us. DINKY-DOO, la la, says Blair Beach. Blair, I couldn't believe it. We were live at 9 o'clock, but for some reason, it hadn't gone live. You're also live in my house. Oh, we're live in your house. Numpty heed, there's no doubt about that. Evening, Scottie. DINKY-DOO, Fiona. How lovely to have you with us. Scottie, says Tommy, it's an honour and a pleasure to see you again. It's been a while. Tommy, don't you leave it so long next time, because you and I need to be communicating big style. There we are. Aha, good evening, Scottie. DINKY-DOO, it's been a wee while since I've been online. How are you? We're fine, Alistair. It's lovely to hear from you. And a big DINKY-DOO. I was thinking about you the other day and wondering how you're getting on. I still haven't started the big lady yet. Scottie, have you ever been asked, what is your DINKY-DOO? DINKY-DOO is all well with you and the world. That's what it's all about. DINKY-DOO, I say. Fantastic stuff. Looking forward to the summer. The clocks are going forward an hour at 1 a.m. Tony, you are quite correct. Wonderful stuff. So clocks forward, spring forward, fall back. There we are. Beachy, DINKY-DOO, Beachy is being extremely generous and sending me a load of TikToks. I thank you so much. Scottie, play us something on the accordion. Well, I will later, but we're very, very busy. I'm just going to open up the telephones so we can all have a bit of a chit-chat. I think that's important. Neil O'Gormley says, hello, Scottie. Hello, Neil. How lovely to have you with us. And a big DINKY-DOO. If you'd like to give me a call, the lines should be open now. The number is along the bottom of your screen. You're live in Scottie's phone in. Who's that?
Oh, Scottie, man, it's Martin.
Martin, man. How are you, Lala?
Oh, you Lala.
Are you DINKY-DOO, Lala?
But Lala, I am actually first on tonight.
You are first on tonight, yes. Well done. You've beaten Kareem.
Where's Kareem there?
Well, I hope he's okay, actually, because, you know, he hadn't been well.
I know I are.
Absolutely. So we're hoping that he's okay. And we've got all the gorgeous TikTokers. Here's Inky. Inky says, hail, hail, sir. So I don't know. He must know more about the weather than you and I. I thought it was going to be sunshine.
I am on 392 or Take the High Road.
Take the High Road, episode 392. That's incredible, Martin.
Yes.
Yes, fantastic stuff. We like that.
How's your week been?
Absolutely fine. Yes, a fabulous, fabulous week. Very, very busy. Chris Grant is sending me TikToks. He's sent me about 40 of them. That's, I mean, 40, no, 50, no, 60. Oh, my goodness me. They're so generous to me, Martin.
Is there the more news in the Ukraine war stuff.
Ukraine, yeah, it's going on all the time. They need to stop it.
I know.
Somebody needs to have a serious word with Mr. Putin and say, wrap this in now, chum.
There's a few people from Ukraine just come over to Glasgow.
Yes, the children are arriving in Scotland.
I know.
And I think what you'll find is that Ukraine will just steadily empty now.
I know.
It's so sad though. Why should people be flushed out of their houses just because of an angry man in a different part of the world?
I know.
It's just not right. Martin, it's lovely to hear you. I'm going to dash because there's so many people trying to get on, but that doesn't mean I don't love you.
Okay, love you too, Scottie.
Love you lots, and say hi to Emma for me.
I will. Emma says hi as well.
Emma says hi. And Dinky-Doo, fantastic. Now, who have we got here? You're live on Scottie's phone in. Who's that?
Evening, Scottie. It's me, Glenn.
Ah, Glenn, how are you, la? Now, wait a minute. Here we go. This is beautiful. Chris Grant says, good evening, Scottie. A wee something for you. Keep up the great work. Really enjoying your shows. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, it's fantastic. These are these beautiful, beautiful TikTokers.
I'm glad summer's coming, Scottie.
Summer's coming, and we're going on to summertime tonight.
So instead, when it gets to 1 o'clock, it's
Yeah.
still into Scottie.
Well, when it gets to 1 o'clock, it's actually 2 o'clock, isn't it? We've lost an hour.
Yeah.
There's F wondering what the number is for the phone in. Number for the phone in is 0141 628 9795. Sorry, Glenn.
What's longest day than this year then, Scottie?
Longest day will be at the summer solstice.
What day is that then, Scottie?
Well, I wouldn't actually know. I would think probably near the end of June.
All right, yeah.
I would think so. So there we are.
So we've seen an upturn in weather today for definite.
Yeah, but apparently it's going to snow next week. I'm just being told live on TikTok.
Do you believe that, Scottie, to be fair?
The 21st of June. What about that for service?
Nice one. It's snowing in March, though, Scottie.
What did I say? I reckoned it would be the end of June. Yeah, but you get snow in March. I've had snow in April.
Have you?
In 1956, in Tunbridge Wells,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Tunbridge Wells, there was snow in August.
Crikey.
What about that? See, I'm not just an athlete, Glenn.
Scottie, I was just going to say you're not just a pretty face at all.
No, I'm not just a pretty face, la la. You know, I'm a black belt in karaoke. It's wonderful. And also, I'm a black belt in origami. I used to be known as the rear tier.
Fantastic.
Isn't that beautiful? Listen, how is your little daughter doing?
Yeah, she's doing fine, Scottie, at the moment, yeah.
Wonderful. We need to know that.
Yeah, she's doing brilliant.
That's fantastic.
I've bought properties anyway, Scottie, so it's, I'm on versions of, just settling in kind of thing, moving things up and down.
Right,
So,
lovely. So that means that you're away from the damp place.
I am, yeah.
Ah, there you go. I told you.
Every cloud and all that, Scottie, innit?
Yeah, you worry too much.
Yeah, Scottie, I tend to be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah, you worry too much, love, and you need to just chill out and realize that you're the luckiest man on God's earth.
Yeah. Are you a worrier, Scottie?
I used to be a bit of a worrier because I had so many things to do, but I don't bother now.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody's got a problem with me, that's their problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't like you, through you are.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like me, so why are they watching?
Do you know what I mean? If people don't like you for all who you are, turn the other cheek and go well flag, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Turn your other cheeks to them, absolutely. A cricket match got snowed off in Buxton 1 July in the 1970s. What about that?
It's Buxton,
Derbyshire, yes, you'll know it.
Scottie,
Beautiful Buxton Opera House, lovely part of the world.
Do you think we'll have a gorgeous summer this year then, Scottie?
Oh yes, well we're having one now, so we may as well enjoy it. I say.
I say happy Mother's Day to your mum, even though she's no longer with us, Scottie, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely, la. Good for you.
Do Do you take any flowers to a memorial or anything?
No, but I will put something up on social media and people can put the names of their mums up.
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean,
She was a lovely lady, my mum.
Without his mothers, we won't be here, would we, Scottie, to be fair?
No, well, where she's buried, you see, is 100 miles from where I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely, because she wanted to be buried near her old home.
Is she near your dad then, Scottie? Or?
Yeah, they're together.
Are they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the two of them. And with her own mum and dad as well.
Yeah, from what I've seen your dad's photos, a very proud and charming man, Scottie, anyway.
Very nice man. Quite a quiet man, but a wonderfully talented man and a very nice man to talk to.
Did you learn a lot from him then over the years then?
Yes, well, I learned how to be a gentleman. He taught me that.
Yeah.
You know, that was very important.
Do you think the generation that we live in now, you know, from our generation and generations younger than us, do you think we can learn? Do you think we've got...
Oh, yes. A lot of our young people are terrific young people, but they are needing to brush up on their manners, I think, and the reverence and respect.
Do you think there's a lot that let us down then?
Well, yes, I mean, there'll always be, but then young people have done that. I mean, I remember reading a paper on young people, and it gave them a dreadful character, but it was written in 490 BC.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't want to do that. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful young people out there. But as I say, some of them maybe need to just brush up on their reverence and respect. You know?
A lot of them are lacking respect on this.
A little bit, stuff like that. Just letting you go first, you know, after you, sir.
I mean, even some elderly people can be a bit snobbish at times, Scottie, not can't they?
Well, I don't think it's snobbish. I think they just can be a wee bit up themselves, you know.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. A little bit self-obsessed.
Yeah.
No, I think we need respect for everyone. I always let people go first. Same on the roads. Somebody's trying to pull out, let them pull out. It's only a few seconds.
Yeah, sure. Scottie, not just for the elderly, though.
Yeah, no, other people come first. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like congestion on public transport and going into shops and just day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
Everybody's just chucking themselves in front of everybody just to get to where they want to get to, aren't they?
This is it. Well, what you should say is other people, no, after you, not at all.
Exactly.
No problem. Scottie, do you remember 1956? You're not old enough, are you? No, Dingy, that's when I was born.
Scottie, even if you get on a bus or a train and it's rammed, and the bus has just arrived or whatever, the bus ain't going to go any faster just because you've got on first.
No, absolutely not. No problem at all. I let everybody get on. No, carry on. And then it teaches other people to do it, you see.
I like the nostalgia of all the transport though, Scottie, you know, like
all over
the country.
Yes.
How things used to be and all that.
I think we could do with the steam trains back. If the oil and gas goes up, I think we should start coal mining again. Yeah, and just forget all the green stuff for a bit.
Do you think there's ever any chance of that happening then, Scottie?
Well, I don't know the way it's going. I mean, Britain's falling down with coal. We used to supply 75% of the world's coal.
Yeah.
Up until 1919, when we got a bit greedy at the Treaty of Versailles and came down so hard on Germany. You know, there it goes. Glenn, dear, I'm going to have to dash, but don't think I don't love you.
You know, energy suppliers, though, you know, like your gas and your electric supplies.
Yes.
They've got to pull their finger out sooner or later, Scottie, aren't they?
Well, they're going to have to do it because, as I say, if we went back to mining, you know, you'd be getting your coal locally. Say, oh, that's a lovely fire you've got there. You say, Sheffield coal, lovely, grade A, from the Barnsley seam.
Our rivals, Scottie.
Do you know the finest coal seam in this country is in Barnsley?
Yeah. Is it?
Did you know that? The Barnsley seam, it's known as.
I did. I'll look that one up, Scottie.
Check up the Barnsley seam, and you mark my words, my boy. Glenn, I'm going to have to dash. I love you lots. Hey, Dinky-Doo, Lala. You take great care of you. Love to the family. That's our Glenn. Fantastic. What a top man. Right. Now, who we got here? I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right now. Humankind cannot bear much reality. Bobby, we always have reality on here on TikTok. What's your thoughts? And he talks about a top comedian making a comeback. Everybody should be able to make a comeback. So there we are. There's Robert. Robert's on the drink. You're live on Scottie's Phone In. Who's that?
Good evening, Scottie. It's Kareem. How are you?
Kareem, how lovely to hear you. Are you DINKY-DOO?
DINKY-DOO. I'm just back from supermarket, so I'll put you on.
How fabulous. Wow. Well, I'll tell you, it's an absolute belter tonight, Kareem. And on TikTok, I put up a photo of my father last night, and over 2,000 people have had a look at it.
Fantastic. And do you know what's interesting, Scottie? I bet your dad would never think so many eyes would look at that picture.
No, absolutely not. These were just family snaps, and I'm looking to see if I can find them. I don't know what's happened to them, whether somebody's flung them away, but I've got pictures of Hiroshima after the bomb was dropped.
God.
My father was sent out there, and they were just in their army uniforms walking about with all that radiation.
Jeez,
you know, incredible.
That'd be really interesting to see that if you got it.
Yes, if I can find the pictures of Hiroshima. And I'll tell you what else I'm looking for, which I think I might have somewhere, is pictures of St Kilda when it was still populated.
Right.
And people visiting St Kilda's post office and things like that, you know what I mean? Because it was evacuated in, was it 1933 or 34, something like that?
Right. A bit of history. I hope you do find them, because it's always interesting.
Well, I'm amazed, Kareem, at the interest in just little bits and pieces that we're putting up.
Each picture tells a story.
Yes, and it's things like when we do lives, you know, you've got 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people joining us.
Yes, yeah. No, it's fantastic.
You know, I mean, it really is absolutely amazing, because as I say, there was one radio station, and in the last survey, they had 9,000 a week to the whole station.
Wow, right. Okay.
And I can get myself 125,000 in one tweet.
Yeah.
For goodness sake. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm not blowing any trumpets. I'm just explaining, you know.
Well, Scottie, it's good to do that. You know, I think that's my weakness. I don't blow my own trumpet enough when it comes to interviews or stuff like
you
that.
Certainly do not, and you need to. And see interviews, right? And I'll give you a tip here, Kareem, because somebody once gave me, they said, why don't you come and I will tutor you for the interview? And I ended up with a big pile of Post-it notes, right?
Yes.
And they tutored me, and I went in, and the job went to somebody who'd been doing a similar job for about 20 years. And they said, we've been talking about you all day. You spoke very, very well. They said, we've given it to this person because they've got the... I said, I think that's a very wise move. I can't fault that. They said, but seriously, you spoke very, very well. I said, well, I've always found these interviews a bit challenging. And the interviewer said, well, you don't need to find them challenging anymore, I can tell you. So I think, Kareem, if you've got a close buddy that will run you through all the detail, you can, the world is your oyster.
Yeah. I think I thought should go out to just now, because I know in Glasgow we've got our probationer teachers, and they're all going through their interviews, so there's a lot of stress at the moment.
Oh, yes.
You know, and
yes.
People don't seem to see this, but, you know, like, where am I going to get my next paycheck from? What school am I going to get? How am I going to pay the bills? So I've been there in the past, and it's just not a very nice time.
No, there's just terrific stress with everything's happening, and the government are not making the right noises.
No. I didn't want to talk too much about the budget, but I am absolutely disgusted, Scottie, with the budget and how it does not help the common people, the working class now.
Nothing does. I mean, I think what's happened, they're also obsessed with working together. They're also obsessed with this carbon neutral by such and such a date. that they're losing sight of the fact that they've been brought in to serve the people.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And the system is working against the people and for the elites. I mean, that whole Brexit thing, so the rich don't pay tax. What kind of politician pushes that?
I know.
And all they needed to say is, hey, wave the Union flag. And you had all the Alf Garnets going, I'd like to leave the EU. You know, not a clue what they were doing.
Right. Well, they'll suffer now. They'll definitely suffer now. But Scottie, I think you'll remember better than me that when diesel was introduced and how cheap it was.
Yes, very cheap.
And then obviously it got dearer and dearer, and it was always that little bit dearer than petrol.
Yep.
And because it would last that little bit longer.
Yes.
Now I think that's just the same just now, and I'm sure someone will come on and correct me or type in the messages. But if you look at electric cars just now, how can, you know, if everything's going through the roof, especially with the gas and electricity,
yes,
you know, it might be slightly cheaper just now, but if it's going to go up and up and up and up, you know, I think
once they get people onto something, so they told us all to get diesel cars. Once we'd all get diesel cars, they shoved the fuel price up. Now, that's not playing fair.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not playing fair at all. And I'll tell you another thing. You used to have a huge boating industry in Scotland. So particularly in the West Coast and the Forth and the East Coast and the West Coast, the Clyde. And the Clyde was a big, fairly safe, deep river, fabulous. So all the way down the coast, the bays were stuffed with wee boats and yachts and motor launches. And the reason you could run one of these, because boating's not a cheap hobby, but the reason you could run one is because they ran on gas oil, which was like, I don't know, 50 pence a gallon or something. Then I think it was Gordon Brown as Chancellor shoved it up to the same price. Now, I don't know what his experience is of marine diesels. But, you know, I mean, that was a dreadful, dreadful thing. And they said that one of the reasons they thought it had remained cheap was because of the little ships, the motor launches that went to Dunkirk to evacuate the soldiers.
Right.
You know?
Scottie, see when you go down your old neck of the woods in DINKY and McCLUE, you still, maybe not as much, but you still see the odd wee boats.
Yeah, you see the odd wee boats, but from Port Glasgow downwards. Port Glasgow used to be stuffed with converted ships' lifeboats as little cruisers. You see? And then you got on down to Greenock, and it was full of boats and yachts. And then the harbours were all there, the Albert Harbour and that sort of thing. And then you went down to you went to Cardwell Bay, which is just before Gourock. And it was a huge centre for yachting. And then you went to Gourock, which was another massive centre for yachting. And then you went to Inverkip, which was another massive centre for yachting. Still is. There's a marina there. And then you went down to Largs, which was another massive centre.
Yeah.
And there was boats all over the coast. People had boats, Ayr, Ardrossan, and you could go sailing up the west coast. You could go through the Crinan Canal. And then they've gone and taken this away. I mean, you know, there's only a handful of boats and yachts now.
It would be interesting to know that industry, how much it generated, and now
fortunes.
How much obviously it's lost.
Fortunes, absolute fortunes. And you had two huge engine suppliers in Glasgow. You had Gleniffer at Annie's Land, and you had Kelvin at Doby's Loan in the centre of the town.
Right, okay. Right. Well, do you think about if there wasn't kids to get out and about, well-being, exercise? Can you imagine that if they were out?
It'd be wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful. And you could, if you couldn't afford your own boat, you went and crewed for somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole childhood was spent on boats. It was absolutely idyllic.
I remember, Scottie, I'm 40 now, but when it was primary school, so I was about 9 or 10, and one of my friends at that time in primary, we went to Dunoon with his dad, and there was like the water there, and it must have been one of the locks, but it was a big boat, and I'd never been in a boat, and it was just sea drive. It's sailing, I should say. It was as a wee boy experiencing that, and I just thought, well, these people must have this every night, every week. It's just a different.
Well, you see, you had the world's most famous yacht building yards were all down the Clyde. You had Fife's at Fairley, yes, yeah. William Fife. You had Robertson's of Sandbank. You had Morris and Lorimer. You had James Adams. You had Hugh McLean's. You know, there were all these yards, tremendous yards. McAllister's at Dumbarton. You know, and they could all build you boats.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course there was Silver's at Roseneath, and there was McCLUE's at Clinder.
Yes.
And these were famous yacht names. You can still see Silver's boats existing. You're going back to the 1930s.
Right. I'm hoping with this referendum, and I'm quite optimistic. I'm really hoping it will go ahead, and just with the potential that can come. And you spoke about this a lot, Scottie. With this, I think that's a gem of an area with what we have, and with the ports opening back up and exporting to the world.
Yeah,
I just think it's just such an opportunity.
Absolutely, Scotland running itself, and if they won't let us have independence, then let us keep our income.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next step. Full fiscal autonomy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kareem, I'm going to have to dash. It's so lovely to talk to you, and a big dinky-doo.
Thank you for having me, Scottie. See you later.
A pleasure. Dinky-doo. Thanks, Kareem. What up, man? That's our Kareem. Busy night, guys. You're live at Scottie's Phone In. Who's that? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Scottie.
Yes.
How are you, Scottie? It's Richard from Northern Ireland. How are you?
Hey, lovely to hear you, Richard. Are you dinky-doo?
Dinky-doo, Scottie. Dinky-doo.
How fantastic is that? Where are you, Richard? Are you in Belfast?
No, Scottie, I'm about 15. I'm in White Abbey. I'm about 15 miles outside of it.
How lovely. How lovely to hear you. Are you enjoying the old phone in?
Scottie, I loved it. And I loved this morning. I was on the TikTok this morning.
You were on the TikTok. This morning's TikTok was massive.
It was great. And, you know, Scottie, here's what happened. You know, I said to you this morning, I'm 64. My wife's 65.
Right.
And she says to me after I had my fry, she says, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm going to go upstairs and watch one of my DVDs. She was sitting watching a repeat of EastEnders or something.
Right.
But you have to excuse her, Scottie. She's American. She hasn't got much intelligence.
Ah, bless her. Ooh.
So anyway, I went up after you talking about everybody sending people down this morning.
Yes.
I went up and I watched the Johnson story and Johnson things again, one after the other.
Wow. Fantastic. I'll tell you what I've started doing. There's so much rubbish on the telly. I've started going on to YouTube and looking up historical stuff, things about marine stuff, things about Scotland, Ireland, north of England, all that stuff. Fascinating.
Aye, Scottie, it is. But I really enjoy the phone in, Scottie. I don't phone in, but I enjoy coming into the phone ins, and I enjoy coming in to the TikToks, and I'll tell you why. The art of long form conversation has disappeared.
It's all sound bites, Richard, and nobody has a proper chat with you these days.
That's true, Scottie.
Do you know?
I started work in the 70s, and I remember getting on the bus, 72, the train.
Yep.
And you were forced to sit and have a conversation.
You had a conversation. You had a conversation, and now people just stare at you. Although I have to say, I was getting the train one time from Glasgow to Edinburgh, and there was a young girl on the phone, and she was telling her boyfriend about her interview. And she said, "So I'll have to see if I've got it or not." But there you go. Anyway, she said, "I better go. I'm pretty shattered." Said, but I'll see you tonight. So that was it. So she went off the phone, and then she looked over at me and nodded, and I nodded back. I said, busy day. She went, well, I've just had an interview. Well, the two of us started, and we didn't stop talking till we got to Edinburgh.
That's fantastic.
And it was lovely. Just a good chat, you know.
That's how you used to interact with, with people.
And I mean, she'd have been half my age, you know. She'd have been in her late 20s or something like that. None of that mattered.
Exactly.
And we just sat and had a right good blether. And the journey, of course, passes in no time.
Of course, you know, I used to get on the train, Scottie, and it was a half-hour train into Belfast to go to work.
Yep.
And we used to get on the train, and before you knew it, you were at the station because you were interacting.
Listen, you don't have to go very far in Ireland to get a blether with somebody.
No, you do not, Scottie. But listen, Scottie, what are really going up for?
And do you know what else you've got over there? Sorry to interrupt, but do you know what else you've got over there? You've got beautiful manners.
Well, Scottie,
you know,
my mother and father always brought me up, you know, and they said, as it is in Scotland, you know, manners cost nothing. Manners cost nothing, and a wee please and thank you is never a problem. Or why don't you go in front of me? You know, Scottie, whenever I go to a foreign country, and I've been about 14 or 15, and I can't speak any languages fluently, but the two words that I learned to say is please and thank you. Please and thank you. Everybody understands that. Yes. Yes, please. Scottie, I really wanted to say to you, I just want to say how much I enjoy the shows and how much I enjoy the TikToks, and thank you so much for doing this. It's very Richard, thank you, because I believe in the art of conversation, and I love the fact that you're saying I tend not to call in, but you've called in, and that's brilliant, and we love it. Scottie, I won't hog it, but thank you very much. Thank you, sir, and God bless you, and love to that beautiful country of yours. Thank you, Scott. Hey, Dinky-Doo. Night, Lala. Dinky-Doo. There we are. What a top man. That's our Richard from Northern Ireland. There we are there with a great accent as well. The people in Westminster are making millions while the country suffers. They have to go, says Tommy. Yes, I think that's probably on the cards. What about the bank virtual cash? I don't think we want to go down that road of virtual cash, because it's another spy in the camp. So that's what's going on there. Who's sending me beautiful gifts on TikTok? Thank you so much to all you lovely, generous people. You've been spoiling me. Hi, nice to meet you. Sufyan, nice to meet you as well. And Dinky-Doo. That's what I say. Scotland needs to get back in the EU. I think we do. Brexit was an absolute disaster. And we're paying the price, but they're all keeping quiet. Oh, it's the war in the Ukraine. It's the shortage of gas. And it's the pandemic. You say, no. You're forgetting Brexit. That's what's really done us in big style. 250 billion quid down the Swanee. What the politicians should have said to the billionaires, okay, he who pays the piper calls the tune. You're telling us that you want to leave the EU. It's going to cost us 250 billion pounds. So if you all chip in and pay that, then we'll say to the people, would you mind if we leave the EU so that all the rich people don't have to declare their tax? All that nonsense. Evening, Scottie. It's Long John here. Long John, lovely to have you with us. Patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel, says Aidan. There you are. Thank God that you and I are not into all that. Although we are genuine patriots, Scottish patriots. And there was a wonderful man who was known as the Patriot. And he fought the Union right up to the end, 1707. And that was Andrew Fletcher of Saltoun. There we are, Saltoun Hall in Pencaitland. Cryptos like online money. So there we are, yes. Bricks and mortar, that's one thing. Red diesel was cheaper until recently. I don't know what the final price of red diesel
for the ships would be, but it was just pennies. Good morning, sir. Dinky-Doo. You could run 20 years ago. You could run, a motorboat on gas oil. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Lily B. Houses were made to keep banks going. Think how it sells. Absolutely. Opinions on the Scottish economy, if God forbid they become independent. Now, why would God forbid independence when it would give us control? The Scottish economy is absolutely hunky-dory and dinky-doo. The problem is we give all our money to Westminster, all of it, and we get a little bit back as pocket money. So we give about 75, 80 billion to Westminster, and they give us back about 28 billion, I think, at the last count, if I'm up to speed. So there we are. So the Scottish economy, we would really need to get it back to where it was pre-union, when it had to be seriously, seriously devalued in the middle of a massive recession and famine. It had to be devalued to facilitate economic union with England. There you are, you see. I'd love to see shipbuilding back on the Clyde. Yes, we need lots of shipbuilding yards on the Clyde. Beautiful part of Scotland, even if it includes Greenock Wee Scooter. Greenock is the jewel in the crown. That's what I say. It's going virtual with presentation to the Bank of England. Well, no, I mean, we could easily do sterling. We could just peg the currency to sterling. We could jump into pound Scots. We could look at getting back into Europe and going for the euro. There's a whole variety. Don't listen to any scaremongering, because that's all it is. Let's just imagine it never existed. Wee Scooter. I could never imagine not having Greenock. It's too fine a place. There we are. You're live on Scotty's phone in. Who's that? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, who's that?
It's
Jerry. Jerry, how lovely to hear you. Are you Dinky-Doo, Jerry?
Just dead busy, so
you've been dead busy, man. I know exactly what that feels like, but the lives are at a premium at the moment, so we clear a space on a Saturday night.
That's good.
It's wonderful. Now, how are you, Jerry?
Good.
Because did you not tell me you'd got the COVID?
No, that was a while back, but that was a way back in January.
It was a way back in January, yeah, but you did tell me you had it. I thought something was ringing a bell. And are you keeping better?
Feeling good, yep. Just looking at different things on YouTube. I came across a guy who was with Radio Clyde. Was it Peter Mallon? Peter Mallon, I remember Peter well, a lovely singer. That's right.
Yes.
I didn't know he was a singer.
Peter was, yes, he was a lovely singer. I think Peter was a tenor singer, high baritone, and he was a very nice man, Peter Mallon. And he also had a program on Scottish television.
Did he?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you used to get a lot of the Clyde DJs did bits for Scottish telly. The wonderful Dave Marshall was an announcer, and he did continuity, and he was also a newscaster. And then you had people like Frank Skerritt used to do a slot on a Friday night, a comedy slot on Scottish telly. And the wonderful Jim Simon, of course, a wonderful announcer as well as a great DJ. So there was a lot of connections, because you see, Jimmy Gordon, who set up Radio Clyde as its first managing director, later Lord Gordon of Strathblane, no less, and Jimmy was the political editor for Scottish television.
That's right. I remember you mentioned that before.
Yes, and he was a great character as well, great friend of John Smith's. They were at university together.
That's the guy who just missed out on being Prime Minister.
Probably the finest Prime Minister we never had.
Exactly. I lost was it 1994?
It was about 1994, yes. 93, 94, John died. And he was only in his 50s.
I know, it's sad that.
But his daughter's a very fine broadcaster now, Sarah.
Yes, that's
Yep, absolutely. Yes, indeed. And John used to sing on a Friday afternoon when they came back on the plane. John would sing Gaelic songs because he was from Ardrishig. And my mother taught him in the Sunday school. She taught him the songs. Because his father was a schoolmaster.
Oh, right.
Archie Smith.
Up in Islands.
Well, Ardrishig and Tarbert, so mid-Argyll.
Right.
And you know the puffers, you know the Vital Spark and things like that. Well, John, when John was a university student, he sent a note to one of the puffer companies saying he would like to work on the puffer. And they obviously thought, look, this is a respectable young academic. What's he going to be like with us? Would he know what he's getting into? And then he wrote back and told them that he was from Ardrishig, and they understood and said, welcome aboard. And he said that the sort of most dramatic thing was, peeling potatoes in a bucket while being sick in another bucket.
I was going to mention as well, another broadcaster who was on West Sound, was it Lou McCarry?
Lou as well, yes, absolutely, yes, fantastic.
I was there for a long time, but I just noticed that he'd passed away. That was quite sad.
Yeah, they were great broadcasters, and you had so many people. Also, we had Sydney Devine had a show on West Sound.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Sydney.
Clyde.
Yeah, and then Clyde and Jim McCLUE, the band leader.
That's right.
Jim had a show on Radio Clyde, and he was a director of the station I set up, Centre Sound.
Jim, part of a Scottish band.
Yes, Jim McCLUE and his band at Dunblane Hydro. They were the resident band.
Aye, I've seen his LP somewhere.
Yep.
Must have been in somewhere.
And he was also a lovely singer, Jim. He was a lovely, he had a light baritone voice, lovely singer.
I do remember him presenting a program in Clyde. I must say condolences to Susan tonight. She's just mentioned that she's lost her partner. So.
Bless her. I haven't seen. I'm running out the chat. I must just see what's going on here. Yes, there we are. Hi, Susan is visiting, so I'm late. I'm not so good, Suzanne. My partner passed away last Sunday morning, says Susan. Sorry to hear that, Susan. So there we are. Yes, and then everybody very kindly gives Susan a lot of their condolences. That's so very good of you. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Mr. Martin. There we are. Scottie, here's Charlie Johnson while you're on, Jerry. Scottie, the fishing boats with the old gardener are the winners right now with the price of diesel, power, and economical. Yeah, I mean, a gardener runs on cupfuls of diesel, you know. It's not actually called diesel with a gardener, Jerry. It's called heavy oil.
Heavy oil.
You don't refer to a gardener engine as a gardener diesel. You refer to it as a gardener heavy oil engine.
When I was watching a program, a team, is it Kelvin Pumps? They seem to be well known.
Kelvin, yes, Kelvin. Well, think about it. Burgess Kelvin, Mr. Burgess was the man that brought in the Kelvin engine, and he was starting off on a motor car. So he built the motor car, but it wasn't a great success, probably too high quality, and it took too long to build. Yeah, because same as Argyll Motor Works at Alexandria, you see, and their quality was so high. And anyway, so the car thing didn't work, but they then branched into marine engines, petrol, paraffin, and petrol diesel. So you started them at petrol, and they went from a one-cylinder. Now, you think the Scottish fishing fleet was a sailing fleet. So I, out of just common sense thinking, thought, I'll bet you it was the Kelvins. Then when I found out the history of Kelvin engines, because I knew them. I mean, I'm very, very familiar with Kelvin engines. I used to work with them on boats. And you had a one-cylinder, which was a thumper, which would be a 22 horse.
That's the program I was watching, probably.
When you put two cylinders, you got 44 horse. Three-cylinder was a 66. You know where I'm going with this? A 4 was an 88, right? And I don't know if there was a 5-cylinder Kelvin, but there was certainly a 6, which was 132. And all these engines, in theory, I add, could be hand-started.
Oh, right. Like, are you talking about, like, the car, you know, the handle?
Well, yes, of course you are. They had a handle on them with a spring, but you had to watch your thumbs because these things are very powerful. So when you know, you say in physics, action equals reaction. When you engage that handle and give that big engine a wheeze, it can kick back at you. So you hear it wheeze and puff, it goes, ash, swoosh, and then the handle comes flying back. You see? So you think, right, we'll need to try this again. So you've got to know what you're doing. It's not for the faint-hearted. But if you think about it, sailing boats, my own family had sailing fishing boats. If the wind drops, Jerry, you're becalmed. You can't go. Now, you could be sitting there till the wind gets up again and your fish is drying out. You start the old Kelvin and it will take you into port.
Good. As a backup.
As a thumper. So you can hear a thumper coming, a 1-cylinder. Boom, 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 boom.
That's it. That's the program I've seen.
Right. So you've seen it and fantastic. And then, of course, a 2-cylinder. Boom, 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 boom. You know, Scottie, did you go to Alex Belfield at the Pavilion last night? If you did a show, I'd come, says Suzanne. Isn't that lovely?
I've seen her mentioned as well,
Alex Belfield, yes. Apparently, he was very successful at the Pavilion.
Oh, well, it's slagging our Scottish secretary.
Here's a wonderful man. Oh, yes, I think so. I don't think he's a great fan, and I had to pull him up for calling Scotland Nicky Nacky Newland.
I know.
Shocking. There's Fat Joker sending me now. Jerry, what about this? There's the wonderful Murray O'Donnell. My village, and what a gentleman Jimmy was. No airs and graces with him. No airs or graces with him. And Murray must have stayed out Strathblane way and knew Jimmy Gordon.
Well, he must have money. Well, that's all I've got, Murray.
What?
Strathblane.
Well, yes, I don't know, but you know, I mean, it's just a very nice part of the world out there.
That's lovely. Was Billy Connolly not stay there? Was it Blainfield?
Originally, I think Billy had an estate at Drimmen. I think so.
I thought it was Blainfield.
Pardon me. Well, it might have been Blainfield. It's a long time ago.
Because he speaks about people in the pubs and all these fancy names.
Yeah, that's right. All these great characters that they like to live out in the country. Some of these characters, it's great.
Away from the hustle and the bus on it.
There's poor Neil down in Bournemouth. I thought I'd avoided COVID until a few days ago when I tested positive, upwards and onwards. Very tough.
I thought I'd lost you there.
I thought I'd lost you, Jerry. Right, you'd better go, but you take great care of your dear self.
And you.
And as we say in the very finest of circles, DINKY-DOO.
DINKY-DOO.
See you, Jerry Law. What a top man. Ta-da. There we are. That's our Jerry. There's a line free if you've been ringing. Kareem, thank you for your condolences for Susan. Great speaking with you, Scottie. Everyone here talks about, and I tell them Scottie McClue was calling out unscrupulous people before he was born. So it must be a big local broadcaster. Who have we got here? Oh, my goodness. You're live on Scottie's phone in. Who's that?
Hi, it's me, Guy, and Kirsty, and we've got a friend over tonight called Jared as well, and we just wanted to speak to you. We thought we'll phone up, we'll speak to you, we'll say hello and see where the conversation goes.
How lovely to hear you. How are you?
I'm brilliant. I'm feeling really good. You know what I've done tonight, right?
Yeah, go on.
I've done my first TikTok live video, but it was on Jared's aka the third eye.
Oh, brilliant. Well done. That is fantastic.
I thought it would be really good that if you spoke to Jared third eye because he's like one of these TikTok guys like yourself,
Fantastic. But I'm so glad you've done one because nobody can take it away from you now.
I know, and you not think it'd be really good for you personally to speak to Kirsty and say hello in person as well?
Just say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kirsty. You DINKY-DOO.
Hi, DINKY-DOO.
Good to hear from you. Fantastic. That's lovely. Thank you for your call. Very much appreciated.
Is that getting cut off or what?
Well, no, I've just got to dash because there's so many people trying to get through. But listen, we will chat again.
We certainly will.
Yes, you're not getting cut off. We're just moving on.
Oh, we'll move on and we'll hear what everyone else has got to say. That would be amazing.
You are a top man. So lovely to hear you, and thank you.
Lovely to hear from him. We'll speak soon, right?
DINKY-DOO, my boy. That is top stuff. Absolutely. No, never ever feel you're getting cut off, folks. It's great chat. So much happening. There's a line free if you've been ringing and redialing all night. You think, oh, for goodness sake, is it possible to get through to Scottie McCLUE? Then do your best. Green sounds well. Good man. Absolutely, monkey. It was brilliant as always. Gorbles boy. You're an absolute top man. We've only got 9 minutes left. So get to your calls as quick as possible. Don't give up now, because I've just said to that poor man, we have to go. There we are. Thanks very much, everybody. My narrowboat had a Gardner engine. Yes, Mr. Martin. They were very, very popular in the narrowboats, I can tell you. You're live on Scottie's phone in. Who's that?
Hi, Scottie. It's me, myself, and I.
Ah, Professor Numpty-Heed. Have you been trying to get through all night?
No, why would I want to do that?
Well, absolutely. Why would you? Why would you want to phone Scottie McCLUE for a good chat?
Well, you were far too busy, Scottie, so I thought I'll not interrupt.
No, you're quite right. That's very kind of you. You're always thinking.
Aye, absolutely. Anyway, I've got a couple of things I'd like to moan about for a change, Scottie.
Aha.
And the first thing is corned beef tins.
Corned beef tins. Wait a wee minute before you do, Numpty-Heed. Here's the wonderful Murray. I worked for Jimmy and Anne as a young painter. Billy stayed in Drimmen and drank in the Clachan. I went to school with his son, Jamie. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, that's fantastic, Scottie.
There we are.
Anyway.
And Richard says, DINKY-DOO, you're talking to Scottie McCLUE, but you know that anyway.
Anyway, apart from that, Scottie, you know, these corned beef tins, you know what's so annoying? So when you get them home and you put them in the cupboard.
Yes.
And you won't get it till you open up, and there's no key there. The keys fell off somewhere in the shop. The keys.
Well, I know exactly what you mean. And when do you ever have a spare corned beef key?
Well, it's not something you have lying about.
You know, but what I like now about the new tin openers, they take the top off the tin. Now, I haven't tried it with corned beef, I have to say. I haven't tried it with the corned beef, though. I've got to tell you that.
Well, there you are. It drives me down. Just thought I'd tell you.
Can everybody watching please share this right now?
Aye, share it with the world, everybody.
Share, guys, can we all share right now? I just want to see if it's possible to do so.
Aye.
Hey, Numpty-Heed, do you see what happened tonight? We were on at 9 o'clock sharp, but we didn't seem to have gone live. Did you spot that?
I was watching, Scottie.
And you thought it would be me, didn't you?
I thought I'll have to phone in and complain.
Aye, you thought I'm going to complain to him. There'll be all that nonsense going on. I knew what was in your head.
Aye. I got a phone call yesterday, Scottie, for one of these people about the accident that I had within the last 2 years.
What have you? All right, have you had an accident? Yes.
Well, I says to the last, I says, your timing's impeccable, because it just happened 3 minutes ago. I tripped to a curb and I've hurt my leg.
Oh, wow.
She says bye-bye and hung up.
Aye, they don't like it. I got one time that said, have you had an accident recently? I said, well, no, but the only thing is, if I don't hang up on you, I might have one because I was just on my way.
Aye. Oh, here's came what I seen last week, Scottie, I forgot to tell you.
Yes.
I saw the one piper on top of Arthur's seat.
You've done what?
No, I saw the lone piper on top of Arthur's seat playing his pipe.
Oh, the lone piper, fantastic stuff. Beautiful sound.
But he wasn't really alone because they had the cameraman with him.
Because everybody else was there. Absolutely. Richard says corned beef is very important. Suzanne says, I'm buckled at Numpty Head complaining about corned beef tins. Absolutely. Somebody's telling me that the funeral was held today for the inventor of air conditioning and thousands of fans attended.
Well, I mean, he had plenty of fans.
Plenty of fans, there we are.
If I'm going off my heat or what, but I lost the dog's collar 4 days ago.
Are you going off your... Of course you're not going off your head, and you're not wearing your dog collar.
Well, I'm sure it's in the house somewhere.
If the bishop finds out that you're not wearing your dog collar, there'll be a problem.
No, it's in the house somewhere.
You'll get defrocked. Oh, the dog was in it when you lost the collar. Oh my goodness. Numpty Head, stick your tongue out and say ta-ta.
All right then,
Ta-ta. There we are. Scottie McCLUE is far too intelligent for Numpty Head. Oh, Darren, you say the nicest things. Murray says, Jerry, this was nearly 40 years ago. So there we are. He was always away, been at his house a couple of times playing snooker. There we are. Not as important as Scottish square sausage, which you can only get here in Iceland, not fresh from the butcher. Oh, wow. There we are. Now, what have we got here? Yes, you can't beat the square sausage. I've always said that, actually. You're live in Scottie's phone in. Who's that?
Scottie, it's Murray.
Murray, how are you, my dear man?
Very well, thanks. Very well.
Do you know, Murray, you've really been awfully good for my confidence. Well, you have been for years. And also, not to mention your terrific generosity to the show. But not to mention that, as I say. But we'll just mention it. But I'll tell you, I was pretty sure that Billy stayed in Drimmen when he was young. And you just confirmed that. And I thought, good, I'm not losing the plot.
I stayed behind the Winnock on the way to Balmaha.
Very nice. Yes.
Lovely house. Jamie and wee Cara, they went to Balfour in high school.
Fantastic. I remember it well.
Aye, so that's where I went to school. And I went back to the Conley residence for a couple of games of snooker with Jamie and some other boys.
Wonderful.
The big game was always away in tour, though. So
I would always be away working, you know. I mean, but a great character. I mean, a wonderful man, you know, quite incredible. And his stuff's brilliant. People still ask me, they say, who's your favourite comedian? And just without thinking, I'll just say Billy Connolly.
Oh, without a doubt. He's a legend, Scottish legend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How are you keeping, Murray? Are you all right?
Absolutely tip-top, Scottie. Thank you, yes.
Yes. Are you enjoying the show?
It's fantastic. I've not been listening for... I've been a wee bit busy over the last few months.
Aye.
And I've kind of missed, because you're not on every night now.
No, we're just on just a Saturday night, 9 o'clock, but we're doing a lot of TikTok.
Occasional pop-ups. I catch up with your TikTok videos.
Yes. And I put a video up last night on my father, and a couple of thousand people had seen it.
Yes, I was one. Yeah, excellent.
It's just incredible, you know.
Absolutely. What a man.
What a man. Oh, he was you'd have loved him, Murray. He was a handsome big guy and a nice man, you know.
Yeah, and I used to sail myself, so I know he was in the army, but he also was on the boats as well. But I loved going up and down the west coast when I used to crew in a wee sailing yacht. So
yes, absolutely the way to be. It was absolutely the way to be.
So I mentioned the fact that I used to work in Jimmy and Ann Gordon's house in Strathclyde back in the day. They're a lovely family. All of them their kids are a credit to them as well.
I know he was a very, very nice guy, Jimmy, and he was very good to me. You know, I remember him saying to me, there's my number, and if you ever need anything, just give me a ring.
You know, these people, for all their success and all their power and all the influence that they have, he was just an absolutely normal person.
Just a normal guy.
On a level.
Lovely to deal with. And he was a big player, Jimmy, you know what I mean? He really was. And I remember it was very funny. And I mean, this is going back 30 years. And I rang him at Radio Clyde, and his PA said, I'm afraid he's in London. And I said, oh, well, please don't worry, because I said, when will he be back? And she said, well, in actual fact, he has a phone in his car. And I said, oh, right. And she said, I'll see if I can get him for you. I said, but please don't go to any bother. Oh, for goodness sake, he's in London. And at that time, he was setting up a radio station for Lord Hanson.
All right.
Yeah. And I hung up, and I kid you not, 2 minutes later, the phone went, the landline phone went, no mobiles. Obviously, he had this phone in his car, and he said, hello, it's Jimmy. You know, and we just chatted away about stuff. I said, Jimmy, thanks for getting back to you. Not at all. What can I do for you?
He was salt of the earth.
Yeah. That was just the measure of the man.
A couple of years before he passed away, there was the local grocer's shop and butcher's in the village. He always had a bit of a laugh with Ian, the proprietor, the butcher and grocer owner. And he always said to Ian, I'll get you down to the Houses of Parliament for your lunch one day. And he organised that for him and Ian's pal. And they flew down to London, and he arranged for him to be collected from Heathrow and taken to the Houses of Parliament and the House of Lords for a wee tour, and then sit in the terrace for their lunch.
I mean, this is a man in his 20s. I think he would be probably late 20s. And there's a picture of him with Harold Wilson.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, as the political editor at STV. Harold Wilson getting out of one of these big old government rovers.
Right, yeah.
The ones that I was furious at Thatcher for getting rid of.
Was that the TC-3000 or something like that?
No, that was the P5B.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, the great big, well, there were 3 litre originally with a cast iron block, and then they took the Buick engine. There were 3.5 V8s. And they were lovely big black government rovers. And Thatcher was so sort of self-obsessed, she thought that people might see a wee bit too much when she was getting out of them. And I thought, you know, come on, my dear, as if we're going to be interested, you know.
I remember my dad had an old Morris Oxford with red leather.
Lovely things. Was that an A55, an A60, that kind of era? Or was it going back to 1950s?
Oh, no, this was the early 70s is when I can remember it.
Oh, the Oxford, it would be the last of the Oxfords. They did them up to about, I think J registered 71, Murray.
I think they had this when I can remember, 72, 73, I remember 6 or 7. Yeah,
they had the 1622 engine, I think, if I remember.
Oh, lovely big comfy car.
Lovely big motor, yeah. The Morris Oxford, the Austin Cambridge, you had the Wolseley version as well, and you had a Riley version of that.
Was that the Wolseley 6, was it?
That would probably, by that stage, be the Wolseley 6. Well, they did the 610, which was the big 6-cylinder one.
Yeah.
That was a lovely beast, you know.
Fantastic. I've just done a wee upgrade in the house here for my mum. We had the coal fire taken away about 15 years ago and put one of these gas living flames in.
Oh, yes.
So that was taken away, and the false front put on the fireplace. It was all tiled with a mantelpiece and stuff like that, and a wee vent.
Oh.
With the increase in the gas prices, I thought, let's do something and put in a log burner. So we got that put in last week. And there's loads of kind of wind-blowing timber around here.
Yes, absolutely. Fallen wood.
Your bushman or your wee chainsaw and cut them into lengths and carry them up the field and stack them and log them, split them. So it's going like a fair tonight, that wee fire down the stairs.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a great idea. I can remember when I stayed in East Lothian, and it was an old house, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. And, well, everywhere, somewhere, you know what I mean? But we're out in the wilds. It was lovely. And I had the log fires. And I had this fire. I'd got coal from the local coalman. And I'd banked it up. And it was going good style. Anyway, Suddenly there's this terrific noise as if the house was getting blown up. Boom, 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 boom. I thought, what's going on here? What I didn't know, there was an old back boiler and with a damper. And the damper must have been over. And because of the heat of the coal, it had fired this thing right up. And when I put the tap on in the bathroom, steam was coming out.
Oh, my goodness.
Wonderful. Because I can remember going to people's houses and they used to say, oh, does anybody want a bath? There's lots of hot water. You would hear this bubbling away.
I remember that back in the old house when we stayed in Strathblane. We had a back boiler exactly the same.
Aye. And the damper must have been over because you know you could put the poker up and move the damper back and forward.
That's right. We had a wee lever at the side of the chimney breast.
Uh-huh.
We close the damper.
Yep, I love all these things. And what was the other fires that you had? Was a Baxi fire that you could you moved a wee lever at the front and it could put the draft up.
Yeah, the Parkray as well. I think you could do that with as well.
Aye, lovely things. Yes, the old Ascot gas heaters as well. A great big beast. It took the bath a long time to fill, but the water was roasting.
Indeed. And anyway, Scottie, I've tapped that little dollar sign at the bottom of your YouTube page.
You're a very naughty boy.
There's a wee gift in there for you tonight.
You're a very naughty boy, Murray. You've been so kind and so generous to me over the piece.
Well, I've not been on for a wee while, so...
That is lovely. That is so kind of you, Murray, and very, very much appreciated. We're still saving up for a new microphone. It's wonderful. Murray, I'm going to have to dash, but will you take great care of your dear self?
Will do, sir.
And thank you so much for all your kindness and for your fun and your laughter and your knowledge.
Oh, not at all.
We thoroughly appreciate it on here, I can tell you.
Night, Scottie. Take care.
And you, night, Murray. Thanks a lot. Dinky-Doo, sir. There we are. See you later, lad. What a top man. That is very kind of Murray. There we are. And he sent me. Murray is a diamond. He is, John. He's an absolute diamond. Professor Numpty says, I moved house last week. I'm now beginning to think this is a 3-story tenement block. It looks out of place in Dalgety. Murray, well said, Jimmy Gordon's. Yes, team neat story. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Night, Susan. Come back next week for a wee blather. Sending hugs, says the lovely Suzanne. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Richard. Good night. I watched an interesting video of yours earlier, Scottie, by yourself and another gentleman speaking about the peace process over in Ireland. Oh, wow. Yes, indeed. I'm just wondering, yes, what that one would be about, Darren. It'll come back to me. Good night, Susan. And again, sorry for your loss, says Richard. Darren says, thank you, Sir Scottie. God bless our gracious Queen. Absolutely, dear boy. Right, I'm going to have to dash. Thanks for the show tonight, says the wonderful... Wait a minute, we've lost it here. This is just so much on here. Thanks for the show tonight, Dinky-Doo. VJ, I know it's against the rules. Can I call a second time? Not sure what I or do would say. Well, we're just dashing. Thanks for the show tonight, everyone, from all three of us, everyone. VJ, we loved hearing you. You weren't getting cut off. We just had to dash. There we are. And there's Darren saying, God bless our gracious Queen. Guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. What a fantastic show. And we'll catch up next Saturday. But keep an eye out. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you've followed me on TikTok if you're a TikToker. If not, I think you should look at becoming one because it's great fun. And, set the notifications for when we pop up random live for a bit of chit-chat. There's lots and lots of videos for your education, edification, enjoyment, and delight. And from me, Scottie McCLUE, to every single one of you, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your kindness and your generosity. And as we say in the best of circles, Dinky-Doo. Thanks, Richard. Dinky-Doo. I remember those fires standing there with the kilt on, says Jerry. Jerry, you know how to party. I shall tell you. Good night, God bless, and ta-ra-la. Stick out your tongues and say ta-ta. Are we ready? On 3. 3. Ta-ta.